Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is your host, Sunny, and you're tuning into another episode of the podcast, It's Always Sunny in the Six. Today, I'm joined by the very talented Cindë. Cindë is a local Toronto musician. She has a stacked resume in terms of not just her own musical capabilities, which I can tell you she is off the hook, talented, but she's worked with the likes of EXO label, The Weeknd. She has a ton of other experience in terms of the industry. She's attended the Grammys, so she shares with me her experience, how that was like, which is friggin' awesome. And you know, more so even beyond her musical journey, just her personal journey, the growth that I feel like we've all kind of gone through, not just in 2020, but going into 2021 and this year as well. Of course, if you guys enjoy the episode, let me know what you think. You know, hit the review button if you're listening to this on the Apple platform. If you are on any other platform, feel free to shoot me a message or a comment on Instagram as well. Your feedback is very much appreciated. And you know what? Let's just get this conversation started. Let's go. All alone with me. And we're waiting for the sunlight. So what's going on? You know, Cindë. It's Cindë, right?
Cindë,
okay,
yes.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for
you.
coming in on a Wednesday night.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Stoked.
You know, it's interesting because it's like, you know, we'll talk about the music later, but
yeah.
I kind of do want to start the podcast to let everybody know, if you haven't had the chance to listen to Cindë's music, do that right now.
Yeah, do that first.
Then come here. And then come here. All right.
Down.
But yeah, what's going on? How's your week?
Good. Good. Is that a thing that we do? I don't know. It's been interesting. I turned 29 a few days ago, actually.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. And are we allowed to swear? Am I allowed to swear?
You can say fuck as many times as you want.
Fuck, shit, bitch. Okay. Awesome.
So do you mind bringing us a little bit closer?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm short.
That's good.
There we go.
Super Bowl. Did you tune in?
Super Bowl,
sorry. Yeah.
I hit a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Did you watch the Weeknd's performance?
I did.
What'd you think?
I mean, I come from I thought it was amazing. But I don't know if you know this about me. I actually used to project manage for that company for 4 years. So I used to work with
EXO?
Yeah, with Belly's team, and I was more on like the weekend touring side and stuff.
Dude, I did not know that.
Yeah, so funny that you asked me that.
Yeah, but, EXO represent.
Yeah, hello. No, I haven't been with them since 2016. We parted ways, and I kind of wanted to just do the music thing full time.
Right.
But outside of that, either way, I thought it was a really cool performance.
Yeah.
Very visual, just a whole lot of everything happening. But they always do a killer job.
Yeah,
that team, I can actually say from personal experience, works harder than anyone I fucking know. There is no one that works better.
I bet. I think visual is the right way to sum it up. I think given the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic and the audience is such a huge component.
All the cardboard cutouts or like the real people?
Yeah, like real people, right? Like someone made a comment the other day. They were like, you know, Beyonce's was better, or I forgot who else. But I think having the audience there is a big component of your performance.
Any live thing is like that. Yeah, I think we've all missed that. So it was cool to watch that on television. At the same time, it brought this strange nostalgia from last year and the year before, where you're like, well, when the fuck am I going to get to do that?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
He kind of made it like an immersive experience of us being part of the music video.
Totally.
Especially when he was walking in the golden alleyway, like inside the maze.
Oh, and the memes. Okay, like guys, the memes are the best part. Like, fuck events.
Which one's your favorite?
What was the one? The looking for the $2,000 stimulus check. That one killed me.
Oh, so many.
Yeah, there was a lot of good ones. So.
Yeah, I am. You know, it's great to see, like, you know, him being a Scarborough native.
Yeah.
I was telling you before the podcast how I'm moving back to my parents, born and raised in Scarborough, and it's still remarkable to see homegrown talent be at a stage at that capacity and just fucking killing it, you know. And not just him. I mean, like, Canada's been producing talent left, right, and center. And you know, of course, now you being one of the many as well.
Yeah.
We are like Toronto. I feel like has become a breeding ground for talent and musicians.
It's about time.
It's about time.
It's honestly, I think it's always been here, but no one really knew where it was. I remember like over 10 years ago, you would ask anybody when you went on, like when I was going on tour with the guys and everything, where are you from? Like Toronto. Where the fuck is that? Like, and it's very strange. And now it's like that's the hottest place. Like
it's where you want to be.
It's almost a tagline you put in an email, like, "Oh, Toronto artist," and they're like, "Oh yeah, for sure." You know. So I think it's kind of neat that we have that now.
What do you think changed? Like, do you think it was a Drake effect? Do you think it was like a little bit of EXO and Drake, or
it's the big three? You got the Biebs,
Raptors championship.
No, that was just like the cherry on top, I think.
Right.
But between like the whole Bieber thing, Drake, The Weeknd, Jesse Reyes, Daniel Caesar, like you can keep going. Like I was gonna say big three, but then as I kept going on, like there's so many other artists too. I think it's just cool. Like we've developed our own sound. What I love is that we can go through seasonal depression here. And that's a very weird thing to love, but I think a lot of artists in the city find a lot of inspiration from that. And that's what goes into that cool aesthetic that is Toronto music. And they really honed in on that, did it first, pioneered it, and here's the rest of us trying to catch up.
It's so true. I think relatability is like the Toronto sound. Like on the rap side, there's always that specific Toronto sound that's coming out as well. But Toronto has a lot more to offer.
Yeah.
I'm big, like Cindë, I'm huge on like, so Spotify and music, for the people that know me, music is a big part of my life. Unfortunately, I'm on the listening side.
Why unfortunately?
Sorry, not unfortunately. It's actually a great thing.
I think it's an amazing thing.
It's one of my, as much as 2020's had its downs, but for me, the one thing I look forward to the most is just sparking a spliff, chilling out and catching up on music. Or even when I go for a run, I used to like catch up on playlists.
Yeah.
And some of the common playlists I listen to are usually like, typical mellows, like your mellow bars, then you got like Pollen, Butter, and then Outliers is one of them. Yeah. And you managed to be on there as well.
Which was so sick.
Congrats, by the way, on the new track. Is it Influenza is how you pronounce it?
Influenza, yes. Yeah. And that's kind of the joke. Everyone was kind of like, do I pronounce it influenza or influenza? I'm like, listen to the song and you'll find out. But yeah, no, it's been a really cool release. So unexpected almost. I just kind of threw this song up and hoped for the best. It was like, when you just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks. It was kind of one of those. And it was neat because I spent a long time overthinking about everything, really. But especially when it comes to song releases, and I think other artists can relate, it's hard to figure out, like, what should I put out next? Is this relevant? Are people going to like it? Is it going to suck? Like, am I going to go into a fucking deep, dark hole? I don't know.
Yeah.
And you put it out and you get that kind of response, and you're just like, holy shit, I still got it. Okay. Yeah. And it's just so overwhelming. I'm so happy that I'm able to do this. And
I think I've added to it at least 10 times today as well.
Sick.
So just letting you know.
It's a fun bop. I was like, we wrote that over quarantine, actually. It was our first Zoom write.
Okay.
And we never did that before. Usually, we get to go in the studio and feel out each other's vibe. We get to be in the room and understand physically that people are enjoying the record.
Right,
you get to watch people bob their head, and like you can't really get that demeanor or that understanding.
I'd be an excellent head bobber, by the way.
I'm
if
sure.
You ever need me in the studio.
Yeah, just like extra head. Hey man, just toss me a 2%. I'll bob my head and let you know.
Okay, I think one of the couple lines that I took from the song as well. So one of the lines that I really liked and really stood out was, you said, "Flex for the gram, exhausting. Buy another gram, that's self-care. Selling that body like, well, Wayfair. Oh, is that too soon?" I think that like the whole track, that's like. It's such a reflection of sometimes how we get so consumed on social media. And initially, when you reached out to me, Cindë, you had commented. There was a quote that I commented from Sergio, who was here a couple of weeks ago, that you don't have to be an influencer to influence.
Absolutely.
And you told me, "Hey, I'm actually fucking dropping a song tomorrow about this." I'm like, "No way!" And that's how we connected.
Yeah.
Where was your mindset when you created the song? What were you thinking? Like,
well, at the time that was kind of when we fully transitioned. I think it was around like May, June. So we were kind of transitioning into like a solely online world.
Okay.
And when you eliminate the physical component, like I told you before, you can't really capture people's energy. You can't really capture really anything about them. So now we have like 100% of our world is digital, and you can manipulate it any way that you want.
So true.
The interesting thing about that, is it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not, none of it's fucking real. You got like
Yeah.
5% of what it is. Like, I mean, for every cool thing I do, there's like 11 mental breakdowns that go with it. You don't see that shit.
Yeah.
And
that's so true.
That's just what it is. And it's okay. Like, everyone goes through it, like from your biggest stars to like people who have nothing and who just started their account. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just what it is.
Think about, that one post that we put up. There's at least 50 iterations, at least, like people taking at least 30 or 40 pictures to get to that perfect one, edit it and all that. I brought this up in another podcast episode that it'd be cool to have a platform where you just showcase your bullshit.
Yeah.
And all your shortcomings.
Well, I feel like that's like what people's Finstas are. So like if you're, I don't know, like I would love to have a fake Instagram account just to like talk shit and do dumb stuff. But I feel like someone would figure it out anyway.
Man, dude, the amount of trolls. So I told myself that, I haven't had any trolls yet. I brought this up on last episode, and then I'm knocking wood, I've been on the good side. Trolls are coming in, and I realized you're not successful and you're not doing something right if you're not getting the trolls and if you're not getting the hate.
Yeah, dude. Can I tell you like a weird fucking story?
Tell me.
So I did an ad for this company called Jambox like a month ago, and I showed up at their studio. It was like very well done. I shot footage of me playing guitar. It was for an amp that they were modeling, and they wanted like authentic guitarists' responses and shit. So I was like, okay, cool. So I do it. We film like 20 to 30 minutes worth of footage of me playing and like what I think of all the different tones and blah, blah, blah. And then I actually saw the ad come out. I didn't get any approval or anything like that. It just came up on my sponsored ads. And then you see a 2-second fucking glimpse of me, literally just 2 seconds.
Serious.
And all I said was, oh, the tone is like loud. It's like fucking loud. I didn't swear, but you know what I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's what you got? Like, I was there for half an hour, like fully playing, and not once in that thing where it's all a bunch of guitarists playing and demoing this thing am I playing. All I'm saying is, it was fucking loud.
That's
like,
that's lame.
Embarrassing. Yeah. Like, so hard. And so my mistake was opening up the comments.
Yeah.
I was getting roasted. Like, no Thanksgiving, pure roast. Like, it was horrible. And I was like, you know what, though? At the same time, you're getting a 2-second glimpse of who I am as a person.
Yeah.
I got paid, so fuck you. And yeah.
That's the most important thing,
That's
right?
the most important thing. So eat it. And yeah, that's just kind of what it is. And I was like, you know what? It's only going to get worse from here.
Right.
I don't, like, what am I going to do? Sit here and get sad about it? Like, fuck all y'all. I'm just going to do something else that's sick. And then.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, like you're going to become more successful than you can ever imagine.
Right? I hope so.
And you know, and that's the dream, right? And I think that you put in the work, you will be, right? But you got to also have a thick skin for those haters, and it's like.
Thick is not even the word. Like,
and it's hard though, right? Because it's like, it takes one comment. Like, what Joe Rogan did did an episode weeks ago, and I forgot who he had. He had like some sort of celebrity comedian, and he was like telling him how he's still fazed by these YouTube comments, and it gets to them. And it's crazy because like one comment can ruin your mojo.
Because it's like the way they say it, man. It's sometimes people they are not conscious of the fact that like this is not like a bunch of zeros and ones. It's not like a binary situation. This is a human being. Mm-hmm. This is like someone's actual feelings, and they're putting everything into their craft, into their work. Yeah. And they stick it up online, and it's just up to get destroyed. Yeah. So
I mean, the fact that you have to go out of your way to first of all create a fake email address, then create an account. Actually, now Instagram, I think you can just create an account linked to the same email address, which is kind of stupid.
Even with, I think, the same phone number, I think you can do it like multiple times or what, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, it's the worst right now because it's like, I feel like Instagram now, there's all these bots and all these trolls and all this other bullshit. I mean, I moved on to TikTok.
Yes.
Are you on there?
It's difficult. I feel like it made me feel older than I am. It kind of pisses me off a little bit. It's fun though.
Are you a 90s baby?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not that old.
I'm not that old. No, I'm not. But I'm just like, it makes you feel
90s,
that way.
Late 90s or early 90s?
92.
Okay, so we're 89, so we're not too far apart.
We're not too far. It just feels strange. If you go on my account, actually, I am Cindë. There's my plug.
There you go.
There you go, folks.
Of course, I'll include it as well, but I am Cindë.
Anyway, so if you go on it, there was actually, I used the sound clip of someone else's TikTok, and it was like, for all the older people on TikTok, anyone born in the late 90s or early 2000s, I'm like, bitch, Like, are you lost? Like, who's your dealer? Hook me up with those drugs. I was so confused. Like, shit like that just, it makes me feel like really dated. But I mean, whatever. It's just young kids being kids. But it's a sick app. I learned so many weird things. You get on like weird corners of TikTok sometimes.
Oh
like,
yeah, you can get lost in that abyss for.
It's a casino. It's a virtual casino. There's no clock. There's no window. That is it. And then you're like, oh, it's been 3 hours. Yeah. So
I mean, I feel like with TikTok, it's like you can get lost in it, but like it caters to what you're really interested in.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so for me, like it's kind of boring for myself. It's like boxing, a little bit of hip hop, then stock tips.
That's not boring. That's smart.
Compared to my girl, if you go on her TikTok For You page, it's like comedy and all this other fun stuff. So I'm usually on hers when she's over. But I think for content creators and content generators, any more platforms out there, the better. The more there are, the merrier it is for us, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like music wise, if you could describe your music as a person, right, guy or girl, how would you describe this person in the room?
So I'm like describing myself, really.
And guys, I'm not high yet, I promise. This is
Me neither.
But we should have smoked up.
We should have. I mean, it's not too late.
Yeah.
How would I describe it as a person?
Like how does your music relate, like resonate with you, and then how do you expect your music to relate to the people around you?
It's honest.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way that I can put it, because I spent a long time even making music that I was like, what am I really doing? Who am I pleasing here? Like, I was always trying to fit into this thing that everyone else was trying to make me do. Like in the early days of me making music, just I had every fucking person sticking their 2 cents in, saying like, you gotta sound more like this, you gotta wear less, you gotta lose some weight, you gotta do this, and I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, like whatever the fuck you want. And then I'm like, wait, I hate myself, this sucks. And now I'm being the most authentic, honest version of myself, saying things that like I'm not afraid to say anymore. Like maybe some unpopular opinions or snarky remarks, whatever, but it's myself, and I feel the best, and it's getting the best response. So I mean,
look at the last track. Like it doesn't get more real than that.
No,
right?
no.
Like, don't get me wrong, the track itself alone with the, like, I was caught in the beat and the vibe, it was not until actually, like, then I started tuning into the lyrics. I'm like, okay, this is real shit. And it's a reflection of some of the stuff that we're really facing today more than ever. Yeah. Right. And it's good to see you kind of break the norm and break the chains and do something a little bit different.
Yeah. And I think, like, that's what makes it interesting. The one thing I really hate about music, or I don't hate anything about music, but I just don't like when someone's like, oh, man, let me show you my music, and it's like, oh, so you're The Weeknd. Like, oh, okay, so you're trying to be Drake. Oh, okay. And it's like, we already have one of those. If I wanted to listen to that, I'm going to go listen to that. Yeah. There's so many other genres that are so untapped into in this city, and I want to hit that. I've been playing, like, I'm a punk head. Like, I listen to Operation Ivy, Green Day, Blink-182, like, that's my shit. And I'm happy that I get to finally incorporate that as a part of my music, like the guitar-centric stuff and things that, like, I mean, I thought I was just like some dork with no friends, like playing guitar growing up. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? No one even likes me. Like, you know what I mean? And then now it's a skill. It's an asset. It's something.
It's more than a skill.
Like,
dude, it's amazing. Like, that's what the clip I shared, the cover you did of Anderson .Paak, killed it.
Thank you.
Like, killed it.
Thanks.
So don't undersell yourself. But,
no, it's not even about that. It's just, I mean, I never thought guitar music was going to make a comeback like that. I was made fun of constantly throughout my youth.
When
for
did you start playing?
That.
Like, when
12.
What's the first instrument you played? And how old are you when?
I was 9, and I played the steel drum in my. Okay, I think everyone's first instrument was the recorder, but that doesn't fucking count. Okay, kids.
Had like 4 keys.
Yeah, imagine. Oh no, I'm not playing Mary Had a Little Lamb anymore. We used to play just the 2 of us on steel drums. I played a soprano steel drum, and we had like a full band, and I was like 9 years old, and it was at my public elementary school, and it was just so cool. It was like the first time I got to experience what it's like to be a part of like a live band. I mean, I always did choirs and shit like that growing up, but there's something different about instruments.
Totally.
I don't know. It's just a different extension of self.
So were you on? So what was strings on one side and it was brass, right? in elementary? I totally forgot, but
No, like we had this. I went to Dewson Public School,
Okay.
and I was like West End Toronto.
Okay.
And it was like steel drums, like pure, like
pure steel drums.
just steel. It was like a steel drum band.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta
so-
Google this. I gotta check this out. Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't like like those like Jamaican drums.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Yeah,
like
okay.
the metal kind of
Okay. Okay.
So I remember one of the songs we played was like just the two of us, and I felt like I was the coolest fucking person because I just watched like the second Austin Powers, and like they had it in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I played the first instrument I played was it was like a Pokemon. I started with a trumpet, evolved to a trombone. Then I went to the baritone.
Oh shit.
And then for some reason my music teacher was like, "Okay, we need you to play tuba." And then I played tuba. So
Yo, man, in high school there was I was in like the high school band. And that was the brass stuff. There was no strings or anything. It was just
Okay.
straight brass. But my teacher at the time was like, okay, so we need people to play trombone, but we also have like an open stringed bass position. And I was like, I'm gunning for that. And there wasn't a lot of like girls in the class at the time. And
Right.
I was like, look, man, if I don't get the bass, like I'm out. And like that's how I got it, and I finagled myself to be able to play that throughout all 4 years. And some other poor jank got the trombone. So
Got the trombone?
I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I think his name was Chris. I'm so
sorry,
sorry,
Chris, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, my bad.
But hey, he's contributing to your success.
Yeah, thanks,
Right.
bud.
So when did you get into singing?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah?
When I could just, I was always I was always singing melodies. I was always just making shit up.
Okay.
Like I would play with toys, and I remember like my dad would walk in. I was like 6 or 7. My
Yeah.
dad would always walk in like, "Oh, hey, you have a really good voice," and I'd be so embarrassed. Like, don't stop listening to me. Like, I'm just playing. But yeah, since forever, I've just always been into music.
And that was always kind of your end goal, that you wanted to build
Yeah.
a career around this. I think one thing I want to be mindful of as well, and anybody that's listening and tuning in, is this isn't just a music podcast, because music, the journey to be a musician, to be an artist, to be successful in an already competitive industry requires the same tool bag or arsenal of weapons, in terms of whether you're in business, whether you're doing a side hustle, whether you're a creative, whether you're a podcaster. You're going to get critics. You're going to get people saying that you can't do it. And you're going to respond by saying, well, fuck you. Thanks, Chris. I can.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it takes that level of resilience. And that's why I respect musicians a lot and artists a lot, and I respect them more because it's great for me to meet you where you are today. And I can only imagine, like, a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, where you're going to be, and be like, hey, dude, guess what? I had Cindë on the podcast once upon a time.
That'd be sick. Let's hope for the best. Manifesting.
Manifestation's huge.
Yeah, man.
So you have quite the extensive resume. I was trying to find a picture online for the marketing before you sent me your press release, and I came across your LinkedIn. If you see a request from a guy wearing a suit, that's me.
Okay, sick. I forgot I had a fucking LinkedIn.
I was gonna say,
like,
so
what is that?
So you were a freelancer artist, vocalist. How did you? So like, I guess let's rewind a little bit. So you mentioned that you worked with EXO.
Mm-hmm.
How did that, talk to me a little bit about that? How did that story unravel? Did you know Abel prior to him blowing up?
No.
Okay.
No. So I went to York for a year for jazz performance
Cheers
on
to
guitar.
York.
Yeah. Are we? I'm about to tell you that I dropped out.
I went to York.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I dropped out. And I was like, I don't want to do this, because I was in a lecture hall with like 180 people one day, and that's when I kind of decided, like, I looked at them and said, none of you guys are going to be able to make money in 5 years. Like, what the fuck are you guys going to do?
Yeah.
And I just saw a bunch of people who, like, with no entrepreneurial bone in their body. And I was like, I need to learn how to make money in this business, because I've been playing in bands all this time. And, I mean, it's so easy to get fucked over, especially being a young girl in the industry at the time.
Right.
Like, it's just really easy to get walked over. So I was like, I need to figure out how to get an education in this. I went to Harris Institute in Toronto, and it's like a artist management program. It was like a fast track, fucking learn everything about the industry, like all the business stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, best money I ever spent. That was like
How long was the program?
1 year, 64 courses.
Okay.
It was intense.
1 year, 64 courses.
Yes, sir. 12 straight months, no summer. Fuck my life.
That's fucking ridiculous.
But the music, like their music supervisor at the time, so the person who gets them on like songs on commercials and TV and blah blah blah.
Right.
She was my contracts and negotiations teacher, Anne Marie, and she was like, "Look, One of the previous students who was in the term priority that just graduated, she got a job with the CP Records XO guys, and they're looking for someone else, and I think it'd be perfect, like a perfect fit.
Right.
So I was like, all right. And
why not?
Yeah. And then so I graduated one day, and then I worked, I think it was like 3 or 4 days in a row at the Sound Academy when he first like played there.
Right.
That was my first day at work. It wasn't even an office. Like, it was like, here's a pass. We're going to just figure shit out right here, right now.
Okay.
And then
you were literally thrown in the trenches.
I was
day
thrown
one.
right the fuck in. Yeah. But there's no other way to do it. There's literally no other way. You got to learn. You can read about it in a book all you want. It won't mean fucking shit.
Right.
Yeah. So that was it.
So how was that first day at work?
Holy shit. It was so cool. Like,
shitload of people. Must have been nice to just bypass everybody backstage.
Oh, hell yeah. Fuck all y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're all
Work
humble
benefits.
and shit, and they're like, oh, peace out. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it was just overwhelming. But I was ready. And that's what I wanted out of schooling. Like, I remember going into it. I'm not much of I guess I'm a academic person by accident. I don't really care for it.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take these 64 courses and I'm going to fuck them. Like, we're going to go in, we're going to go hard, we're going to get a sick job.
Right.
We're going to learn all about this. And that's exactly what I did.
And you manifested and you killed it.
Yeah. And then so going into it, I was like, I'm overwhelmed. There's so much going on, but what am I going to do? Sit here and die? Like, no, let's go.
So did you, I assume, of course, you met Cash, Belly,
Yep.
And Abel.
Yep.
How are they in person?
They're cool. They're nice.
Yeah. I think Belly has an album coming out. He's working on something. Yeah.
He's so low key, man. Like,
he's been working on it, but I saw something of maybe, I mean, this might not be the best source of information, academics, but actually he kind of is, but saw something on academics page that he's working on an album. I think for me, I always ask this question, what's like your favorite album? And for me, I think The Weeknd, House of Balloons has always been my album of the decade. It took me through a lot of hard times, and it was that one track where I'm like, who is this kid? And why is this music and sound so different? Because
at the time there was
nothing else close to it.
Nothing else.
And so when you talk to me about like how there's all this music coming out of Toronto and you kind of want to stand out, I think that's a great way. Like, I think it's important.
That's how he made his mark. That's how everyone does it. I remember before even working for him, I was in the lunchroom at school, and he just did his Coachella performance, that first one that came out where I guess he like showed his face for the first time or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
And I remember so many people were like, "Oh, this guy's so shit." Like, there's nothing. Like, they were just talking pure trash about him. But I turned around and I just remember like listening to the performance, and I'm like, he's got something that no one else has. So I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if you're really right about it. I think you're just hating.
Yeah.
And then like 4 years later, I was standing in the front of house at Coachella, like watching him, and I was with the girl that I graduated with, and she felt the exact same way. We were looking at each other like, remember when like no one believed in this? And like, LOL, he just played the Super Bowl last weekend. So like,
and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And he headlined it.
Yeah.
Just him.
Just him.
There was no other act, no nothing. And I think that's what like takes me back. And I'm like, well, and the production for me was amazing still.
Unreal.
I think that there's a gene that we all have. I don't think I have it. It's this gene to hate. I think
real.
It can be unwired. I think social media makes it a little bit more wired because it's really easy to jump on the wave of hating on someone or something, or building an opinion around something that isn't authentically yours, but it's like the popular opinion.
It's just impulse. It's just all impulse reactions. No one really thinks before they go on there, except if you're posting.
Think about Drake, how much everyone hated Drake in the beginning.
Yeah.
And still, like, even in the States, when the whole Meek Mill drama happened, Drake soft, Drake has ghostwriters. He held his ground.
Everyone has ghostwriters.
And
like, come on, shut up.
Have you written for anybody?
I have this song coming out next month. No, not my own, but a fellow female producer artist. She's awesome. Her name's Kiara Young.
From Toronto?
She's also from Toronto.
Okay.
She's huge on TikTok. Got quite the following. She's really talented, and we wrote a song in the summer. We wrote a few songs, but one of them specifically is coming out, I think, in the next month. And I've been working a lot with a couple other writers in the city. I can't really say too much.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I love co-writing. That's a great plug.
If you guys want to stay tuned, follow
me. I am Cindë.
I am
There
Cindë.
it is. Yeah, no, I think I love writing for other people because you get a chance to kind of almost like eject out of your own brain, like push an eject button and get into someone else's world for a sec,
Right.
and bring elements of yours because that's why you're in the room to the table. But at the same time, I don't know, just getting to tell their story and getting to elaborate on it from a perspective that they may not have even thought of. I think it's like the coolest thing about writing.
It's so true.
Yeah.
What's your creative process? Like, do you have a ritual? Always curious. Like, do you have any like process of getting into your creative incubator or whatever you want to call it?
Every song has been completely different. Like I have songs where I have one that I've been sitting on for like 4 years, which is coming out this year.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How come you've been sitting on it for so long?
Because it wasn't right. It was, I went through like 4 different productions. I went through, like a key change. I didn't really change any of the lyrics. I actually wrote it asleep in an eyelash appointment.
Okay, really?
Yeah. And I was like,
usually the best songs come out of those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was legitimately asleep. I heard the fucking full song and I was just like, I woke up and I wrote it down and that was it. And then I put chords together when I got home. And it's been 4 years and 4 different versions later, but we're here. We got the final mix back the other day and it sounds fucking sick. So I can't wait for people to hear that.
When are we expecting a release date? This quarter? Mid-year?
I'm thinking in maybe like a couple months from now.
Couple months from now? Okay.
From now. I want to do this one right. Like this one's my like, little song baby. I've been kind of like nursing it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
That's so getting into so every song is different, and I get that. I think it's like, you know, like that example that you brought up at the eyelash appointment. It's like it's always funny to hear about what the story behind a song.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's nothing. It's my friend actually. He's also like a beat producer and he's a rapper himself as well. Who was killer. He's in Toronto. We almost FaceTime each other every day.
Cool.
I say goodnight to my girl and then I FaceTime him because she's like early, she goes to bed early, right? And so I talk to him and he'll go through beats, he'll go through songs and be like, oh, what do you think? And one day I was wearing like a Dragon Ball Z shirt.
Yeah.
He got up and he's looking at me. He's like, hey, dude, I have the same. This is 3 nights ago, by the way.
Okay.
He's like, oh, dude, I have the same shirt. I'm like, where? Winners? I'm like, you already know. Winners is a go-to place, right?
For graphic tees, yes.
Always.
They have everything.
Everything you need.
Yeah.
That place or World of Poster on Bathurst.
True.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in time. Like I used to go there with my dad all the time and we used to pick up like random shit.
I have like an MF Doom shirt. Pop Smoke. I got this Wu-Tang shirt from there.
Nice.
I'm huge on graphic t-shirts, especially if it's hip-hop related. But yeah, so I started spitting. Me and him started spitting. I spit a little bit too.
Nice,
usually when I'm like a couple of drinks in.
Okay, get a little more in.
And then he was like, he took like I ghost wrote for him. I know you're listening to this, killer, but I did. He had a couple bars, but it all started from like the Goku t-shirt.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like a lot of
weird
times,
triggers.
Weird triggers, yeah. Authentic triggers.
Yeah.
I
think those are the best. I also just have this note in my phone that's like I'm constantly adding to. If something happens, I like to take real things that happen to me and write them down. Like talking about this is an idea that I incorporated in one of my songs, that, like how girls are nicer in the girls' bathroom than they are like in real life. So like it's an element that like is interesting to talk about in music. It's little social nuances that are so easily overlooked, but I think especially in this time we overthink all those things, and we like how much we miss them. Like those little what seemed like meaningless interactions were actually such a big part of the culture of going out and whatever, right? So something as simple as that.
It's so true. Like I can visually, I can picture like even like that in the guys' washroom as well. Like Citizen downstairs where like the women's bathroom and the men's washroom. It's 2 a.m. Oh, sorry, it's like 12. It's a midnight. You're drunk. You go to the bathroom. You bump into a total stranger.
Yeah.
And you're just interacting, and it's such a simple like interaction and conversation.
But it means a lot.
Yeah.
There's something really special about it, especially if you're having a rough night or like I don't know, someone texted you you didn't want to hear from. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like you'll get the most nicest compliments in the bathroom.
For sure.
During that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I never thought about that. I never thought about that. It's something that's such a pre-COVID thing.
There's so many others though. There's so many things that you can tap into. So I have this like huge note in my phone that I just kind of add to, and we pick apart from there depending on what we're singing about that day.
That's cool. So what are you looking forward to the most? I know we talked about 2020. Actually, you know what? Let's rewind a little bit. How was 2020? Let's do a little pulse check. How was
pulse check?
Was it a good year? Was it a great year? Was it fuck this? Can the next year start?
It was the best and worst year at the same time.
Okay. Red pill and blue pill at the same time.
Yeah, just let's overdose. Let's go. It was. I started 28th birthday. I remember I was like playing 2 gigs that week.
Right.
It was my birthday show. Like, so I don't know. It was sorry, hold on. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
So yeah, so like it started amazing. I went to Miami like
Your
in
birthday
February.
is in January, right?
February 5th.
February 5th. Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was just around the corner.
Like hella recent, yeah. So I mean, we went to Miami. I had 2 shows my birthday week. I was like going out, like sessions, everything, and like I just felt like everything was coming together. And I kind of told myself like, this is the year where I'm not gonna let anything hold me back. Like fuck this. I'm just gonna I'm gonna go balls deep into making music and being my authentic self.
Right.
And then like March 13th happened, and that just shat on everything.
Were you already back in Toronto by then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's strange. I was playing a lot of live gigs. I had stuff booked into into 2021, and it's like, okay, bye. Like all that's gone, and I just felt like I had to regroup and start from scratch, and it was strange. It was a very, very strange time.
Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty. I remember in April I had a concert at I forgot what concert hall, but I was going to see Brent Fayez. You know Brent Fayez, right? Sonder, Brent Fayez. He was in Toronto. He's one of my, I think, top 5 artists. And I've seen him once before. So I was like, why not? So when that got postponed, got postponed to September. I'm like, all right, some things will be open by then.
Yeah.
Fast forward to a year later.
Jokes
Joke's on us.
Yeah, still here.
We're still
jokes.
here. We're still here.
Yeah, it's comical. Like it's actually it's something to laugh at. It's so morbid that it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was a very transformational year. I think I also realized what my own habits were, because I was inside all the time. Like I had nothing to do but talk to myself.
Yeah.
So like you kind of just start to analyze your patterns. And
Are you living alone in Toronto, or is it just you in Toronto, or?
No, it's me and my grandparents.
Okay.
Yeah, so I take care of them, which is another added layer that kind of happened last year.
I could imagine, especially in the middle of a pandemic too, right?
Yeah, it was weird.
It's a lot of stress. Yeah, I can relate.
So much.
I can relate. Yeah.
So much. I just felt from all angles everything was changing, and I couldn't keep up. But I was like, you know what? I promised myself I wasn't going to get in my own way, and I'm not going to let this do it either. And I got the chance to play Pull Up Paradise, which was at the Toronto Shine stage on Cherry Street, the Polson Pier stage.
Right.
And I haven't played a stage like that since fucking like 2009.
When was this?
This was late October.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a drive-in festival. It wasn't the same as having the energy of everyone like sweating on each other and shit. But honestly, like I haven't played a stage like that in over 10 years, and that was just exhilarating. It felt so good. Yeah, man. I had like the time of my life because I knew I'm like, who knows when the next time I'm gonna get to do this is? So I'm gonna go off. Like it was so much fun.
That's sick.
Yeah, and I got to release music. Like I just kind of, ripped the Band-Aid, started putting out songs, got some great feedback, and I just kind of really took things into my own hands for the first time. So that's the part that I found was the best, because I just kind of honed in on my own power that I've had this whole time. But
what's one thing that you think that if this pandemic never happened, what's the one thing that because it happened benefited you now? Like what have you done differently to adapt and change maybe the direction of your music, or?
Be a little bit financially smarter about how I go about it. I'm a lot more self-reliant because
you realize how much money you used to spend on bullshit.
Holy shit! Not even bullshit. Like I used to, contact graphic designers, contact like every Tom, Dick, and Harry who did anything creative that can add to my career. I called and collaborated with, and the music video cost, and then realizing, we spend so much time at home now scrolling and stuff. You see how much really cool homemade content there is, and it's really not always about the the quality of the camera you have, or who you're doing a music video with or whatever. That stuff doesn't matter. It's about like the actual quality of what you're putting out and making sure the message is the message is clear and concrete, and it matches what you're doing, and it
Yeah.
adds value.
I think in 2019, was it 2019 or 2018, you did a music video, Hitting?
Yeah, Hitting It. Yeah.
Hitting It.
Yeah.
The production quality, first of all, on that was freaking phenomenal.
Thank you.
To think that it came from Toronto, too, I was like, oh, shit, this is actually it's sick. The song was sick, too, but the production was, like the visuals and everything. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
But
I directed and self-produced
did you?
that. Yes.
Okay,
I
okay.
flew in the cinematographer from Detroit, and I was like, let's go. And I already had experience with music videos and stuff from my previous job.
Right.
So I kind of knew what went into it, and I'm very hands-on with my career. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let any like fuckbag ruin this for me. I'm going to just do the work. It was 30 days straight of calling different people, like putting the budget together. It was a fucking crazy time, but
Yeah, and the end product was great.
Thank you.
I think it's important to have control. And so I guess for most musicians, typically, I guess that control is lost if you hire like an external videographer or director. Is that what usually happens? Or
To an extent.
To an extent, okay.
I'm always very hands-on with my stuff, more so for my vision. But the reason I call other people in is usually because I trust something really special and unique about their vision.
Right.
So
right.
whatever they bring to the table, I'm always open to, because that's why I hired you. So I think together we can build something really cool, and that's usually kind of how it comes across. I just let them know, like, look, I like to be pretty hands-on. I kind of know what my vision already is.
Yeah.
I want you to help elaborate on that. That's usually how the collaborative front works.
Or like provide your 2 cents and that's it.
Yeah, like I trust your 2 cents. I
Okay.
actually want it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. So there's a lot of musicians coming out of Toronto. I have a lot of friends that are in the industry as well. I've had a couple of friends on the podcast as well. Toronto has become a breeding ground, and we have such a like great amount of talent that it needs to be harnessed. It needs to be pushed out there. We got to support each other as well.
Yeah.
For the musicians and artists out there that are struggling, that are trying to find their way, any words for them? Any tips? Any suggestions?
Finding your way involves getting out of your own way. A lot of people don't realize that, like, you got to take yourself out of the situation for a second. Like, if your music isn't working, or whatever you're doing isn't translating well to your audience, take a step back for a second. Stop blaming your audience. Stop blaming other people. Like, you're the one who made the art. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if they're not interested in it, like, that's just what it is.
True.
And you got to take a step back and understand, this is how I learned. Then take the criticism. Be open to it. And also understand that it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't mean that you're shit. It just means that there's room to grow.
Yeah. It also means that if you're getting hated on, or if you're getting like criticized, it means that you're doing something that's bringing attention.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. On that front, I mean, like, there's people who get butthurt because, like, no one shares their song, or no one,
Oh yeah.
that whole thing. Like, hey man, can you just like? Yeah. I personally find the spamming thing really frustrating.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like, as an Aquarius.
I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Nice chain.
I'm hilarious. Yeah,
That was the first thing I noticed. I'm
Really?
like, okay, Aquarius, I should ask her if her birthday was recent.
Yeah, my friend Mercedes just got it for me, so
That's
I was like,
nice.
I'm gonna rep it. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, of course.
I don't even remember what I was gonna say.
So we were talking about like artists always saying, "Share my song."
Yes.
And
So I think it's I like to people watch, not in a weird creepy way, but like I like to understand the patterns of people, what makes them tick, and I feel like without adding your own influence and trying to push people, like, hey, can you share it? Like, I want to see who shares it organically. I want to see who actually listened to it, took the time,
Right.
and paid attention. Is that, I don't know, that's not everyone's formula. It's mine, to each their own.
yeah,
But I really like to see the organic response, because it tells me what I'm really doing right. And I always struggle with overthinking, did this person share it because they're my friend?
Yeah.
Or did they share it because they actually like it? And then you get to a point where your friends don't even share your shit anyway. So,
you tell me.
yeah. So, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game. It is what it is, and
yeah.
it's fine. If it hits someone's ears and it changed their day or did something for them or made them think,
Right.
I did my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I think we nailed it, to be honest. Like the amount of podcasters, we all share the same sentiment. Anybody that produces content, music as well, there's always that, hey guys, do you mind sharing it? And it becomes exhausting mentally after a while, because it's like, the fact that I have to ask you to share it means that maybe my content didn't resonate with you, or it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I've kind of stopped doing that as well. Where, if you think about some of the not just music, but videos, for example, that go viral, they go viral because a group of people like it.
Yeah. By accident.
By accident.
It's just an algorithm thing. And you're better off getting that real, genuine information than forcing people to share your stuff.
It's so true. That's golden advice, because I think we live in a generation where that happens a lot. In the beginning, maybe it's important if you're starting out, like if you have a small business or if you're just starting out, it's good to maybe, kind of lean on your friends to kind of get that, mass.
It's important. It's all you have at the time.
Exactly.
Right. But you have to get to a point where you got to be a little bit more self-reliant and understand that if people aren't sharing, it's because there's a disconnect. Let's find out what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And that's why you got to be consistent. You just got to keep putting out content, keep putting out music. And then you never know, like look at Nav, for example.
Yeah.
He's producing beats. He went to York.
Sick.
Same year.
Didn't know that.
As myself. And he went to York, Rexdale guy. And, he made beats for so many years. And, his track hit the right, of course, Belly and those guys and Cash. And now look at where he is today.
Yeah.
So it's not just a numbers game, but it's also, this idea of kismet.
Yeah.
Right. It's huge. And when your opportunity comes knocking at the door, just make sure that the lock is unlocked.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's it. And then the rest is history, right?
Be aware of it.
But Cindë, so every podcast, I'm going to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
I do something called the Sunshine Round. It's also called the Speed Round.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I ask you a series of questions.
Are we doing speed?
Might be.
That's fucking weird, man. I just met you.
I got to censor that now.
I'm kidding.
Good time to open that, actually.
Okay, all right. I'm going to toss out my gum because I've been rudely...
Yeah, no, of course. Secret. Give me a second. I just got to pull out these questions and then...
Yeah.
Got like a gazillion worksheets open right now.
It's all good. Right. I appreciate how prepared you are.
So I got a bunch of questions here. Try to
right.
answer them as quick as you possibly can.
Fuck.
Just to kind of, shift gears a little bit, get to know you a little bit more personally. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you want to crack that open?
Okay, all right.
So for every question that if you want to pass, just take a swig.
Oh shit. Okay. We're getting drunk. No, I'm kidding.
Cheers. All right. If you could buy any food right now, give you a little context. If you're on an island and if there's one food that you could eat for the rest of your life, what would that food be?
Seafood linguine.
Favorite restaurant in Toronto?
You know what? Right now, Kibo Sushi. It's holding me up. Go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your, besides music, what's your favorite hobby? What else do you like to do?
I love plants. Is that lame? Yeah, I love plants.
I love plants too.
Yeah, they're sick. Okay.
Second question. Sorry, third question. Who's your favorite superhero and why?
Aquaman, because he's underrated and he probably makes girls wet.
Have you seen his before and after pictures? It's crazy.
No, I have not.
Yeah, the guy, he works out quite a bit. But yeah. I think with superheroes is interesting because it's like, well, on that note, if you could have a superpower right now, what superpower would you have?
Mind reading.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
It would help me get out of a lot of fucking weird situations.
You could fucking negotiate the shit out of different contracts and whatnot.
Or just not have a conversation. Let me just exit that real quick. Go
on. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Short, loud, and fucking genius. Okay, I don't know.
Hey, listen, you got to be humble, but at the same time, you also got to toot your own horn.
I am smart. Yeah. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck them. If you could try and jump on a plane right now, where's the first place you would go?
Ooh. This is hard. Speed round. I'd go back to LA.
Yeah?
Yeah. I miss the heat.
Okay. We'll talk about that after.
Yeah.
If you weren't in music right now, what do you think you'd be doing as a profession?
Still management.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would still definitely be. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Really? Do you see yourself in an alternate dimension being in a different profession outside of music? or if you could choose another profession outside of the music industry, at your liberty, what would it be?
Comedy, or doing like what you're doing
Comedy?
now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Or even like podcasting.
Yeah, straight up. I've always thought about it.
I mean, the goal is to quit my 9 to 5 and get paid for this.
Hell yeah.
In the long term. So let's see how this goes. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, I can only give you a right now is Superbad.
Superbad?
Yes.
It's classic. You can't go wrong with that.
Cannot go wrong.
If you could star in your own movie, what genre do you think it would be?
That genre.
Genre?
That's it. Yeah.
Like high comedy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my
I just
life.
watched Friday for the first time.
Oh my God, really?
Can you believe that? Yeah.
Yo, I watched Half Baked the other day, and I didn't realize it was not the first time. It was my first, I guess, conscious time watching it.
Right.
And I didn't realize that it was like at Yonge and Dundas. And it was shot there's that one scene that's shot outside that Pizza. And I used to work right on Elm. Like my old office was right there. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
like,
wild. You know, have you ever seen movies where like you were too young enough to watch them? And now when you rewatch them, it's like, okay.
Like, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like American Pie is a classic.
Big time.
I used to like get my grandparents to come to Blockbuster with me, show their ID so I can, and they couldn't speak English. So for all they know, they're like, what movie? Especially horror movies.
Yeah.
And then my grandpa would be like, what's the movie about? I'm like, oh, it's just, it's just
Stuff and things.
And he'll knock out as soon as he goes home. So we'll knock out and we'll watch movies. But
Nice.
Good times, Blockbuster.
Yeah. Love that place.
You're at Coachella. You could choose headliners. Top 3. Go.
Green Day. I'm so lame. Green Day, Weezer, and
Weezer. I haven't heard them in a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
I haven't actually, that's just a guilty thing because I haven't ever watched them live, and I was supposed to go to their show last August, but LOL, here we are.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and a third one. I don't know. I got to see The Weeknd do it, so like I was actually. That was cool. It was
like seeing him live.
Yeah, seeing him live, working for it, knowing that Kanye was gonna come on stage, knowing that we had a 9-page rider to fulfill, that we received that fucking morning. It was just cool. Not only especially at the time, did I really admire him as an artist, but it was just cool to see his work ethic behind it all.
Yeah.
So on top of his talent, it was just like, what the fuck? This is so cool.
Yeah, like especially when it's like, wait, is he really singing into the mic? Is that how he sounds? I'm like that with Adele too. You know what trips me out is when British people, they sound American when they sing.
Can you imagine a British person singing in British, like in British, singing with the accent?
Yeah,
I don't know if it would like translate as well.
I mean, the closest that I came, I think grime music and hip hop, which I fuck with a lot, but I don't know.
But it makes sense there.
Yeah.
There's like certain sweet songs that it's like a harsh accent wouldn't do it. Like my first language is Portuguese.
Okay.
And
is that your background? Like, are you Portuguese? Okay.
Yeah. And it's like a hella harsh language.
Yeah.
So even I've been in sessions before where people are like, "Oh, you're Portuguese. You should like put a Portuguese line in the song." And I'm like, "What do you want to hear?" Like, what do you want? I'm not gonna do that. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, I hear you on that. It's interesting because it's like different languages. It's like certain music I don't even understand what they're saying. I'm like, oh, okay,
but it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I can vibe with it. But then there's certain that I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
If you could would you rather talk to animals, have the ability to talk to animals, or be able to speak any language in the world?
Ability to talk to animals.
Ability to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to find out why cats are assholes and why I resonate with them so much. Like I'm allergic to them, and I like that's the part that's really shitty. But
I hate cats.
I'm down. I love how rude they are. You know what? A dog will love you no matter what, even if you're a piece of shit. You could have fucking killed your mom.
Yeah.
And then you come home and that thing is still like licking at you and like it still wants to eat. You know.
Right.
But then a cat has almost a vivid consciousness of like, you didn't feed me today.
Yeah.
Or like, you're being annoying, and they will tell you, and I appreciate the honesty.
Would you rather have a dog in a cat's body or a cat in a dog's body?
Cat in a dog's body.
Cat in a dog's body.
Yes.
That'd be like the perfect.
That'd be sick. Yeah. I would love to like pet you and like take you for walks and be like interactive with your life.
Right.
But I also like, talk shit with me.
Do you have any pets or
No.
Oh, okay.
I used to have 4 turtles, but that didn't really work out
Oh,
too
Ninja
well.
Turtles?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. What happened?
No, actually, no, they weren't the Ninja Turtles. I named them Blastoise, Yoshi, Crush, and Reefer. They just got
Sick names.
Right?
Sick names.
All right.
Yeah.
I just they got way too big for the tank,
Okay.
and it was just this overwhelming mess to clean up all the time. I'm like, fuck this.
So how big did they grow up to?
As
when
big
you,
as their
when you got them,
environment.
they were probably tiny.
They
right?
were. I can walk them on my hands.
Okay.
And then they get to a point where, well, they're not cute anymore. They start to bite you, and I'm like, dog, I'm feeding you. Like, what are you doing? Chill. Like, I clean your fucking thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just became. They get as big as as the environment lets it. So
Right,
if I got a bigger tank than what I had, they would probably get a little bit bigger. I just couldn't do that.
Yeah.
My space was not forgiving.
I had a phase where my parents were like, okay, I think most brown parents like this, but like actually most immigrant parents like so anti pets in the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
always.
It's like no, but it's like when you show up with a dog, it's like maybe the first day they're upset and then they're like, okay,
I'm into this.
Yeah,
they love it and they're all here for it.
And they're all for it, right? Mm-hmm. I was big into reptiles. I actually wanted to get turtles.
I wouldn't recommend
and
it.
then there was a phase I had with an iguana.
Yes.
Right?
I've always wanted an iguana.
There was I forgot the name of the iguana. It had like a bigger head than the rest of the body. Something dragon, but
Bearded dragon?
Bearded dragon.
Yeah, it's not an iguana, but yeah.
What is it? Is it called bearded dragon?
Yeah, it's its own type. I don't know, it's its own lizard.
Bearded dragon. Yeah, this is it. Bearded dragon. I was this close to get it because I'm like, it's cool to have in the aquarium. But I might just get it for the podcast now when I move back to my parents.
Yeah, you gotta get a little buddy.
Okay, maybe get some turtles. Be like, hey, do you want to see some turtles?
Yeah, like I know it's a fun little conversation piece, little icebreaker. You gotta feed them crickets though. That sucks. I always thought that was the grossest part. Like I'm not a fan of anything that has like beyond.
Are you vegetarian, vegan, or do you mean?
No, I'm more of a. This is sad. I'm like 80% pescatarian, I guess. Like I'm mostly like on the fish front.
That's good.
That's just a personal choice. It's not.
Yeah,
for
I
any
feel
other
like
reason.
it'd be hard to believe if you're a vegan and you're Portuguese. Because
No,
your food is so
that's
great.
impossible. I would also get hit like aggressively with a spoon.
Especially by your grandparents.
Hell yeah, yeah. No, they already have a tough time with my like. I cook for myself. I do everything myself because if I ate their food, I would probably have like diabetes and a whole lot of other problems. It would be delicious though.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm worried about when I go back. Actually, my parents are not that bad.
Okay.
I mean, I've been ordering a lot of Uber Eats over the last month because I'm like, just fuck it.
Did you get the Uber Eats pass?
I get them every month. Oh no, you're talking about
It's like a
monthly
$10 thing where it takes away the service charge.
Okay.
Honestly, because we're ordering so much, I feel like I do too.
I think that's worth it for anybody that lives in the city. Yeah, get rid of it because it adds up.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, you might get something for $12, $13, and before you know it's double.
It's weird how like anywhere between $2 to $5 is the deciding factor on like whether I should just go and pick it up myself.
Yeah.
It's such a small increment amount, but that's literally how I feel.
I mean, I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I'll pay the $10. You know, the most ridiculous thing I did last week was, you see that Reese's cereal?
Yeah.
Do you know how I got it?
Did you Uber it? Oh my god.
I was so high.
And you were high?
I was like, and it was 1:30 in the morning.
Nice.
And I was watching TV, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want a meal, like, cause I had dinner. I'm like, but I'm craving cereal. So I went on Uber Eats. I was curious. I was curious, and I was like, all right, wait, it's a convenience store. So apparently you can order shit from the convenience store. It cost me like $9.
Yeah, they prep it like in a bag for you.
And like they brought it up in a bag, and the guy was looking at me weird. He was like, Uber. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Thanks for the cereal.
So thanks for the cereal. It's almost like he looked at it too, like, what is this? I'm like, yeah, thanks for the cereal.
Did he ask you if you were like, okay, if everything's okay at home because you're ordering cereal?
My dumbass forgot to order milk.
Oh, sick. Did you have Beerios?
No, so then I just placed a second order. And the worst thing is, there's a Raba downstairs.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is at nighttime, sometimes like the area, I feel like,
oh my god, it's so sketchy.
it's become a lot more sketchy.
Yeah, I got out of my car literally like I walk 2 steps, and this is the first girl I've seen in 3 months.
Really?
And I'm like, what junkie is talking to me right now? Like, please no, sir.
Yeah, just look down and just keep walking.
Like, why is that my first social interaction when I leave my place? Like, I'm gonna stay home now, thanks.
Yeah,
like,
I that was one of the biggest things for me, because like when the pandemic struck, it was in April. There was a huge tent camp.
yes.
You remember people were like putting up tents everywhere because the shelters were full and whatnot, which is totally understandable. But like it created such like a nuisance.
Yeah.
Because like, sometimes, I get the munchies and I'm like, I'm going to walk over to Rava. I couldn't do that because I'd always be like, people would follow me. People would try to talk to me that I do not want to talk to. Mm-hmm. That's a completely different story that I'm not going to get into. But yeah, after that, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to stick with Uber Eats.
Yeah, I get it. It's literally for your personal safety.
Yeah. I have one last question on this lesson before we'll talk about LA. If you could talk to the younger version of you.
Oh, I just give her a hug.
10 years ago, what would you say to her?
I would just give her a fucking hug.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. Like, it's going to be fine, man. You're thinking too hard, and also don't give a fuck about what so many people are going to tell you that you can't do this or you're not good enough for this. Mm-hmm. And tell them all where to go and do it better than them, because you will.
There you go.
That's what I would say.
It's crazy, right? Like when you look back at life and you're like, oh, I wonder. Like I don't look back and I don't regret a single decision I made. I'm just like, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, I like me now.
For all the mistakes, all the good things too that I did.
100%.
If it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't be where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets you thinking 10 years from now.
Yeah, what that version of me is going to have to say about this version of me. I'm curious.
Let's say future you is listening to this podcast. What are you going to tell future you right now?
What am I going to tell? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever the fuck's going to happen in the next 10 years. Oh, also, you're welcome. That's all I can really say. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm excited. I think I was kind of bummed having a quarantine birthday because I just missed it last year, right? Mm-hmm. I was kind of bummed having one, and I was like, man, my next one's my 30th. I really hope we're still not stuck, because at this rate, we can't say, oh, it'll be done by then. How'd
you celebrate it? What'd you do for your birthday?
I cried.
Yeah.
I cried. Like, I know that sounds like fucking morbid, but we're here to tell the truth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I was miserable.
How come? Well, if you don't mind me asking.
No, it's okay. I was like, look, I've gone through a really weird transformational thing where I stopped talking to a lot of people that I always had a gut kind of feeling about, or a hesitance, but I never really took it upon myself to kind of just step away. I was always about pleasing other people and just making sure people liked me, and it's like, no one's gonna fucking like you anyway. Just do it. Like, so I cried because I have this desire to go back to normal, but my normal doesn't tangibly exist anymore.
Right.
I had a 2-year relationship, that just ended.
Sorry, dear.
I'm not.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's fine.
Sorry for him.
So he'll figure it out. I think, and like lost friends. I just different habits of mine just kind of like fell away. I signed a studio lease at the top of March and worked really hard to like stay above ground and keep that going. And then come January, I ended that whole thing, and it was just hard. I had nowhere to go. That was my safe place. So I had to like bring all my shit back home and kind of figure. So it was just strange. Like all of it was happening at the same time, and I just felt like this urge to I just want normal, but I can't even go back to that because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from. I'm fine now.
Yeah, no, of course. Listen, people think that like crying it's not a bad thing. It's just it's a real emotion, and this is like the amount of people that I know out there that are probably thinking to themselves like they're not willing to even talk about that. So I commend you, like to be like it takes. Like it's sad that I have to say that it takes courage, because we should live in a world where we should be okay with it. You know what I mean? That we should be okay with, this is the bullshit that I went through. I'm upset about it, and I'm going to figure it out. But this is how I feel now. Yeah. So I don't really need you to tell me like stay positive and toxic positivity. Something that I'm mindful of too, because I'm not always about, hey, what's your mindset when it comes to positivity? Because sometimes there's days where you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you're just feeling like complete shit.
Yeah.
And
that's okay.
And it's okay. Like this condo, as bittersweet as it's gonna be, like I entered this condo with such a dark kind of mindset and the place that I was at, and I'm leaving now with such brightness and such aspirations of, you know, not just for this podcast but everything else going on in life. It's a process.
Yeah.
And it's a
all up
process.
and
You just
down.
gotta bite your lip. You gotta you know, trek through it, and you just gotta know that, you know, you're just preparing yourself to be that future you.
Yeah, and I know how I operate. I have a high functioning anxiety. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I've had it for a long time. I didn't really figure it out until recently.
What is high functioning anxiety?
It's well between that and like depression. So I go all the way up and all the way down. So it's I'm freaking out constantly about not having enough done. I'm always guilt tripping myself. I'm calling myself an asshole in my own head because I'm in bed and I can't actually physically get up because I'm fucking exhausted.
Wow.
But I still have all this other shit to do. I'm constantly like biting my nails. I'm not conscious in certain conversations. Like the fact that I'm able to stay this focused in a room in front of you for a long period of time is dope. Like,
that's amazing.
That's
yeah.
amazing for me because
I wouldn't have thought otherwise. I'm like,
it's a lot of brain.
And
It's brain fog, and it's like all the thoughts at the same time.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, but it's I love it because it's also a personality trait that's helped me get to where I am. So I've learned to like live with it and understand it.
Right.
Meditation has been my bitch throughout this whole, you know, cheers to
that.
that.
Yeah. Mindfulness.
Every morning, it's the only thing like toxic positivity doesn't work. But being able to be the third party of your thoughts and the third party of your being and just kind of watching everything float by as you're in stillness just allows you to see your problems for what they are. And,
So true.
And come up with different connections and different ways to solve those problems.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not about... I shared this thing on my Instagram the other day, and it was like 9 out of 10 arguments in my relationship wouldn't have even happened if I just asked, do you want advice or do you want comfort? You know what I mean? When someone's venting to you.
Right.
And I think that's a thing.
That's such a profound difference.
It is.
When you ask that question.
It is. And I think like people who resort to toxic positivity, most people who aren't aware that they do that.
Yeah. It's like I picture like Ned Flanders.
Yeah. It's like, Ned Flanders and like also just narcissism. Yeah, I don't think that they really see the full or want to see the full scope of it or want to acknowledge it. It's very dismissive. It's a very
so true.
Toxic positivity is all just dismissing those behaviors, and you have to work through them. And that's exactly why I cried through my birthday.
Right.
Like my grandma was pissed because you know the older generation of immigrant parents, grandparents, etc. They don't understand that they were probably really sad and going through their own mental bouts, but were only taught to work and just do better for their family and their loved ones.
Right.
So they didn't really get a chance. They don't understand that. So if I want to take a few days to fuck off and like just be in my bed and be a vegetable, that's what I need to be like the best version of myself when I need to apply myself. And that's what it is. So like they could be like, oh, you got to get up. You go to work. What are you sad about? You have a roof over your head. And I'm just like, I can't help it. I just need this right now.
I thought that was a brown thing, but I think it's an immigrant thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Very much so. They don't get it.
I don't, in my language, I don't even think there's a word for mental health. You know, like I think like in the, apologies to my Punjabi friends if there is, but I'm trying to think hard, but I don't think there is. And when you talk about mental health with my parents, if I bring that up, or even in general, they don't really know what to say about that. You know, they don't know what is that? Well, just stay busy. You know, what's there to be sad about? You have a roof over, like you said, you have a roof over your head. You know, you have your parents, we're here.
Yeah.
And they just don't get it. And
it's a totally different environment. We are so overworked in the Western world.
Yeah.
And having that time to relax, like she's retired. She just gets up, makes some food, drinks a coffee, and watches her novellas like all day. You know what I mean? That's her vibe. But for me, like I have so many things going on, and then I just like I lost my studio at the time, and like all this shit.
Yeah.
So it's overwhelming on the brain, and I need to recharge that the same way you recharge your body. I was saying this the other day. Imagine we had, you know, on the iPhone, how you could see the battery life of your iPhone. Imagine that was like on our foreheads.
Yeah.
I think people would speak to each other differently if that happened.
Yeah, like if it was like a diamond, like Uzi Vert.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, straight up. Instead of the diamond, it was just like a charger bar or a meter or something. If people saw that, maybe they'd understand how detrimental toxic positivity is, and how like, it's really demeaning on your actual feelings. It just makes you feel even more guilty for feeling those things. Right.
Because the people around you, like, when you say something along the lines of, hey, I'm kind of upset, or I want to be left alone, I can't tell you the amount of time, even relationships or people just being like, well, why are you feeling like that? You shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah.
This is happening, that is happening. You have no reason to feel like that. And, it's like, it's ridiculous because, like, yeah, we don't have an actual like a battery meter, but we have it inside of us, right?
And you vocalized it.
And you vocalize it, you talk about it. And then it gets you thinking, like, imagine if for batteries, what do we need to do? We need to recharge. And a lot of times when it comes to recharging our batteries, we ask ourselves, what do we need to do? And a big part of that is sometimes changing your environment.
Yeah.
Shift your environment a little bit. Going back to what you said before, cutting those friends or the people around you. It might suck now, but in the long term,
you'll feel lighter.
You feel lighter. You're going to feel a little bit more recharged.
Yeah.
Because you're only going to surround yourself with, like, the people that truly got your back. When I had Ricky on the podcast last week, and that's going to get dropped next week, he used to be a promoter, and I used to be big on the promoting scene. And, back then, I was in the club scene a little bit as well. It was all about being liked by everybody. You just want to be the most liked guy.
Yeah, man.
I was president for cultural organizations at York. I was all about being, well, I know this many people. I want this many people on my birthday. Now, of course, 2020 kind of accelerated this a little bit, but I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, if you ain't on my vibe, like
I'm good here.
You can follow me on Instagram and see what I'm doing, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I'm totally content. And I'm totally content with spending not just my birthdays, but like my moments with the people around me that truly have my back.
And value who you really are.
Yeah, and I can be myself.
Yeah, and you're not running on like 15% battery the whole time and finding any nook and cranny to charge your phone in the wall. You know what I mean? Like you're not living your life for somebody else. You can take the time to recharge, set your boundary, and go about life and give to your loved ones, the few loved ones that are there.
Right.
You can give them your best because that's what they deserve.
Exactly. And like when you're the best version of you, you're going to attract everything else around you.
All the good shit, all the good shit. So it was really important for me to make those changes. I think it's important for everyone. Just like get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Do it.
You know what, Cindë, you got a beautiful outlet too, though, music.
Yes.
Because music is, for me, I used to I tell this to everybody, music for me is a form, like a love language. Sharing music is huge for me. I always share music to the people around me. I will always expect music back. It's because like I've never really been able to kind of communicate how I feel properly in words. I have to go through music. Yeah. So think about like those times when I'm like, fuck, I had a breakup, or if I had like, I'm at the gym and I'm struggling. You put on like, let's say Bobby Shmurda. I'm going from 40 to 50 real quick, right? Yeah. And it's crazy how music has that impact on you. And I think for you, it's great because not only can you take it out in the form of your music as a vocalist and as a musician, but also as a writer as well, right? So you went to LA?
Yeah.
When did you go?
I spent a large chunk of time there for the time that I was working with the guys.
Pre-COVID?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Last time I was there was 2018.
How was that like?
Oh, it was awesome. I love LA. It's weird. It's not what you think. Of course, everything seems all glitzy and whatever, but the amount of homeless people that are in the city and how unsafe you feel walking in like the CVS, you know what I mean? It's very strange.
I've never been. I've always wanted to go.
Well, hopefully when this shit's over.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, give yourself the opportunity. Go to the Comedy Store. It's
Joe Rogan. I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
Okay, so you know all about it.
So I know about it. Have you been to the Comedy Store?
Yes, I have a weird story.
Okay, tell me about that.
So it was like the last night of my trip in LA, and I actually brought my friends out, and like I got them passes to Coachella. So I'm like, this is how bring your friends to work day. You know what I mean? It was really fun.
Yeah.
And then last day, I was like, we were back in LA, and I had an edible in my bag that I didn't realize that I flew over. It was in, I don't know if I'm going to get arrested for this, but basically you can get a lollipop, like any round lollipop or whatever and
Okay.
make so
Yeah.
if you make a weed lollipop and
Right.
you just break off the stem so it's the little round
So
bit.
you just got the round bit?
You just
Yeah.
got the round bit.
Yeah.
You can wrap it in like that lint chocolate wrap. So
Okay.
it looks like a little chocolate ball thing.
Like an actual Lindt chocolate, yeah.
Yeah, so I forgot that in my bag, but it came over with me, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, and weed wasn't legal at the time, so like it wasn't really it was accessible there, but it still wasn't easy.
You needed like at least I think like a medical license or something. along
Yeah,
the
it
lines,
just
yeah.
wasn't easy at the time, so that was just like a godsend. And I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to the Comedy Store. There's like a potluck on a night, so it's a bunch of comedians. And they go up and they do like a 15-minute set, and
Yeah.
you don't know what the fuck you're gonna get. And we're like, let's just split this up, eat it, fucking go, whatever. And
How much weed was in there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Like, I don't even know how the fuck I got
You're
this.
so lucky.
Yeah, I was like, okay, sick. What a great night this is going to be. So, yeah, we split it up with, like, these scissors that we found. It was, like, the most crackhead show thing I've ever done in my life. But we split it up. We all took it. We get to the venue, whatever. There's a bunch of great acts on there. It was a hilarious night. It hadn't hit us yet.
Yeah.
And then slowly to the end of the night, people are trickling out, and we're like, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing else that we can really do. Like, let's just stay. Yeah. And it was like 1:30 in the morning, 6 people in there, including me and my 2 friends. And the host comes up and he's like, well, the interesting part about LA is you never really know who you're going to get. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Chappelle. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, it was crazy.
Oh
like,
my God.
So, yeah, there's literally 6 of us in this room, and he comes in, and he's like, oh, I love this kind of shit, because I get to just test out random material.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and so he went off on, like, a 2-hour tangent. Luckily, that's exactly when the edibles started kicking in, and I was like, is this real? What the fuck
Is this
just
really
happened?
happening? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was so cool, though, and he was very interactive with all 6 of us. It was nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been to a Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
When he came NBA All-Star weekend in Toronto, I went to go see him at Danforth. Cool. But that's fucking crazy. Like, what are the odds of not only are you at the Comedy Store,
yeah,
but out of all the comedians you could have seen ever, you see my favorite of all time.
Yeah, in
Dave
such
Chappelle.
a small room, it was so intimate.
How
and
big
cool.
is a Comedy Store? Like, is it bigger than this condo or?
Like it's like 2 of these condos.
2 of these condos,
maybe.
so it's tiny.
It's a small place.
Yeah.
It's very intimate.
But it's legendary.
Yeah.
The amount of comics the number of comics that have worked there, that have become now comedic celebrities. To even Joe Rogan started his career. Joey Diaz, so many big names, right?
D'Elia, I think, started there as well. Yeah. So many. I don't know, man. It's pretty nuts.
So I I've word on the street, my friends talk about it all the time. Like LA for musicians and artists has kind of been the go-to in the sense of. You kind of have to get out of Toronto to kind of make your music stand out, and I think it's a little bit more appreciated in the States. If you're from Toronto too, right?
Yeah, it's a niche thing.
Yeah,
you're the Canadian in the room.
Like I feel like the Lee Boys, like Kai and those guys they're living there now. I don't know if you know those guys. Kai, like from Kai, he's like Sister Lee's like Bent and those guys.
No, I don't think so.
No, okay, so that they have music coming out as well.
Yeah,
Up there, and I think one of the biggest cases that I see now is like Press Up, for example, coming out, leaving Toronto and going there and now blowing up on the main stage. I feel like, and I've noticed this as well, you'll always receive a little bit of criticism and not enough support from your immediate circle or your ecosystem.
Yes.
You kind of have to get out of your ecosystem, take your sound out of there to kind of get recognized.
Well, because those people don't really have like a personal connection to you. There's no bias. There's no.
That's so true.
No one is truly altruistic in anything really. So I think when you take yourself out of your own environment, you are surrounding yourself with people who see you for you and your craft.
Right.
And sometimes that harnesses a different level of respect than you as a person.
Yeah.
And so like when you're too close to something at home, like my brother doesn't share my shit that much. He doesn't really go on Instagram that much anyway. Okay. But I feel like, maybe I'm just speculating, but if he were to do it, he'd be like, you fucking idiot. Like, you're acting all cool on here. Like, I know everything about you. Like, I know where you fucking sleep, moron.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's this whole element of like being connected to the person as
So true.
opposed to the art.
Right.
So when you take yourself out of the element of home and comfort, you can expose yourself to people who have real opinions of you that don't come from a biased place.
So true. My brother doesn't listen to this podcast at all. My sister probably not.
See, we could talk so much shit.
My mom maybe. Hey mom, what's up? But like it's one of those things where it's like you're so right. Like there's a bias set of focals or lenses or glasses we put on, and we're always like that because we're like, oh, we know this person for this side of him. Like look at Abel. Going back to the weekend, there's a picture that I saw. It was him performing at a show at UTSC, and he was a student. He was just wearing a hat, doing like I think it was like some sort of talent show back in like 2009.
So
yeah,
like he
looked like a
so
kid.
sweet. Even like when you meet him in person, like he's such an energetic force on stage, but just like he's so kind.
I think that's like, and you can. I think he hasn't. I haven't really seen too many interviews of Abel or The Weeknd,
which I think is a cool thing.
Which is a cool thing because like, there's a level of anonymity.
Yeah.
Anonymity.
And anonymous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
But yeah, like it's like, there's a side of him that we really only listen to him through music. But he's very like, I don't really think he does interviews.
Not a lot. No, I remember he did one with Complex. Like it was a big deal for us because we're like, oh, he landed an interview and it was Complex and it was he got the cover and it was cool because it was just like a nice in depth. It's nice to open up every once in a while.
What did you think about him getting shafted from the Grammys?
I don't think the Grammys are like a valid.
Not anymore, right?
Not anymore. I mean, going back to that whole note about manifestation, I remember being like 2 years old and watching the Grammys on TV.
Oh yeah,
and I had something in me, like you don't know anything at 2 except your own instinct,
right?
Like, and I don't know why I remember this so vividly because I was fucking 2, but I remember looking at the screen and going like, I'm gonna be there one day. I don't know what it is in me, but it's like I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
And I got to do that at 24 years old.
You went to the Grammys?
Yeah, I went to the 58th. And I was like walking on the carpet and I just looked down and it was red. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
wow.
We are really out here. But then understanding what it really is, like when you're there, that show's made for TV.
Yeah.
Like it's so much cooler to watch on TV.
Really?
When you're there, it's all pauses, man.
Right.
Like there was no fucking food. Like me and my friend who was like chilling, we were chilling there and they're like, okay, we got to take a break for 10 minutes. And there's always someone on the loudspeaker just like, all right, 10 minutes, 5 minutes applause, whatever. And I'm like, I need some fucking food. So, and we're in the Staples Center, so we literally get up out of our seats and like all the concession stands are closed. I'm like, give me a fucking hot dog, man. Like, give me something.
Food is priority.
Yeah, like there was one actual open area where we climbed over and we got peanuts, and like that was my cool Grammy stories. I stole peanuts from the fucking Staples Center, and
do you still have them or?
No, I ate them. I was fucking starving.
You didn't end up bringing an edible with you at that time either.
No,
right?
not that trip. Which should have. But it's long. It's like a 3-4 hour show, and I felt so bad. It was the year that Adele went on, and speaking of Adele, and her in-ear monitors, I guess, weren't working, so she was singing flat, and you feel fucking terrible because this poor woman with an angelic voice, beautiful talent, didn't get to show off what she really does in the like she's on the world stage right there, you know what I mean, and
everyone's
didn't get to showcase what she was really capable of in that moment. And that's what I mean about the Grammys just being like, it's kind of a farce at this point, you know what I mean? It doesn't capture talent the way I think it needs to be captured.
It needs to be
in modern
times. It sounds like. So how did you get invited to the Grammys? Was this through work?
Yeah, because he got nominated and he won. So it was a fucking cool year.
That's fucking sick. So you went with the whole gang and
it was a lot of work because we were also planning the GQ sponsored after party thing, and honestly that morning was I remember being up at like 7 a.m. because we were looking for like a big red bow to put on top of his car that he was getting as a gift for his birthday, because his birthday was at midnight that night too. It was a whole shebang.
Right.
And I just remember like being up at 7 a.m. calling fucking everyone, and obviously no one's open. Like, we need a big red fucking bow to put on top of his car, and like everyone's freaking out and then like whatever, just getting everything together for the actual party, and then getting dressed, going to the event, having to leave half an hour early to go back and make sure everything's good before people arrive. It's a fucking shit show. It's exciting. And then, like, it all happened so fast. And the next day, all you know is, like, you're hungover and you hear Power 106 talking about how they, like, broke down the gate at the weekend party because someone leaked the address. And some 17-year-old declined, like, Paul McCartney and Dave Grohl at the door because they didn't know who they were. And I was like, yo, like, are you kidding me? Like, I could have done something about that.
Oh
like,
my God.
But you're so, you know, swarmed with everything else. It's a whirlwind. It's so fun. And your adrenaline's going. Yeah.
Was this the year that he had a huge mansion party? It was like a huge he probably has this every year.
I'm not sure about every year.
But there's this one year that he had a huge mansion party after the Grammys.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay.
Yeah. That was 5 years ago.
Oh man, that's first of all, time flies.
Yeah.
Right, because it does not feel like it was that long ago. But was that your first time in LA, or was that your?
No.
Okay.
I had been there like quite a few times prior.
If you could live in any other city besides Toronto, what would be your top destination?
That's a good one. I actually really liked Bali.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's kind of weird, but it seems like just a vacation place. I just thought it was like beautiful, and the air was nice, and the people were lovely. Like,
did you get to experience any of the clubbing side of Bali, or?
Yeah, a little bit. A
lot of Toronto people are there right now. Oh yeah,
Sky Bar is fun. Yeah. I think a lot of Toronto people are there. My buddy Ivan's there right now, and we were FaceTiming on some oblong schedule, but I mean they're doing fine. They have a couple like restrictions, but it's not too crazy.
I know a couple of the club promoters that are there now, and they're just trying to create a livelihood in Bali, trying to make it like a destination hotspot. I love to go to that. I mean, my exposure to Asia has really been limited to just Thailand, which has also been.
I've never been there. That sounds like a fun time.
It's cheap. And it's fucking amazing.
That's how I felt about Bali.
I can't wait to get back on a plane and just travel again. I think today on Blog TO, I was reading up about it. Someone got arrested because they faked their documents for COVID when they landed. It was actually a positive, but according to documentation, it says that he was negative, got arrested, got charged.
Well, that's crazy shit.
And is going to jail, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's not really something to fuck with. Like, you're literally bringing something into another country.
I swear if you're testing positive, they'd put you in a quarantine in a hotel.
Right away. I wouldn't think that they would just, like, let you wander free. I think that would be the safest thing.
Like, why would you want to roam around knowing that you're positive?
Yeah.
But
that's weird.
It's crazy times. On that note, Cindy, as we wrap up on the podcast, we're hitting almost the hour and a half mark.
Nice.
Amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's fun.
Any parting words to people out there to kind of like get to know you a little bit more in terms of your music? Any advice to anybody out there that's struggling, that feels like 2021 might be another repetition of 2020?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out too, so I'm not going to try to sound all high and mighty or anything, but just
well, figuring it out is a part of it.
Yeah. Right? Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to your loved ones and ask them if they're okay. Outside of Bell Let's Talk Day. Outside of that, there are another 364 days in the year that you can check up on people that you even think are doing, whether they're doing super well or they're very open about not being their best. Because right now, I think we're missing human connection and everything. The most. So just be there for each other. Be nice. Be understanding. Like, the internet is only a 0.0001 of what shit really is for someone. So be mindful of that next time you leave a hateful comment, asshole.
We see you.
We see you.
I think you're right. I think compassion is what is needed. And I think you're never old enough to make new friends. Look at us. We're definitely gonna do this again. See where you are
and smoke weed
and properly and chill out. But I think that going back to Bell Let's Talk, I had this idea the other day, and I was thinking about this, how trend activism has become such a thing.
Oh God.
If it's not trending, it's not worth fighting for.
It's performative.
It's performative activism, right?
Yeah.
At its core, and we've seen it last year. We're seeing it a little bit this year. Bell Let's Talk is a perfect example. For people that are in jail penitentiaries, Bell charges about almost a quarter, $1.25 to a toonie a minute to make outgoing calls. I saw an article about it on the Toronto Star, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and like imagine the like lower income families that have
they shouldn't be punished for that.
No, like they still need to talk to their loved one, like and sometimes people are incarcerated for reasons like beyond their control, like that aren't even for anything illegal,
right?
And they're still getting reprimanded for it. That's not fair, and like Bell is a part of that. And there was a couple other articles that came out too about Bell employees, like actual Bell employees who left because of like stress leaves and anxiety and all this shit. So it's like, oh, you want to talk? Why don't you talk to your own fucking employees?
Yeah. It's all for like, I know no one's gonna listen to this, but it's all for like corporations and corporate cultures. Like some of them are doing a great job, and some of them are trying to make an authentic, like a genuine effort to understand not just mental health, but also inclusion and diversity in the workplace, right?
Which is cool.
Which is great, and I think it requires dynamic input, not just from management, but from people, people like me. There's a version of me that you're gonna get if I'm on Bay Street 9 to 5. But then there's a version of me that's the real me that every time I come home, which is why I was so happy setting up my podcast here. Yeah. Because like before I had it in a studio, so I had to be, okay, we got a schedule. Like today it would have to be at 7:30, not 8. But now it's like, oh, come whenever.
It's
like
lax. You could just kind of be yourself in the most like non-restrictive, stressful way.
Yeah, and I think one common thing that I've had about 54. You're gonna be the 55th guest.
Whoa.
And
5's my lucky number.
Yeah. And I think everyone's kind of shared a similar sentiment in the sense of being a little bit more compassionate, not just to one another, but to ourselves.
Yeah.
And to also show a little, it's okay to show love. It's okay to reach out and be like, this is sick, share stuff from a genuine place. We need more of that.
Yeah.
And less
honest connection, not honest forced.
Connection. Exactly.
Not forced.
I don't need to send my podcast to like X amount of people to force you guys to share it or like it.
No, but if you see it, some words of encouragement would be nice,
Of course. I see you guys.
Yeah. I think like those are really underrated people.
But listen, Cindë, I'm excited for your future. I'll be watching you as well. And
I'll
your
be watching
journey.
you.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big year. We're only getting started. It's February, guys. It's February. Today's the 10th, but it's going to be dropping mid-February.
Cool.
Closer to the end of February.
It's the best month of the year.
Oh yeah, my birthday's coming up too.
Hell yeah! When is it?
February 20th.
Sick.
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces. Okay, I'm a Pisces moon.
I might have to get me one of those chains too, but
yeah, you have to. Honestly, February is a sick month. I think there's nothing better.
I have like 5 birthdays this month, all family.
I was gonna like your own. I'm like, how are you celebrating 5? Like I had to piece that together for a second. I'm like, wait.
My cousin's actually expecting a newborn anytime. Cool. Yeah, so like he's born on the 17th. I'm born on the 20th.
Nice.
So we got like, okay, got another February boy.
Everyone I know is born in February. Not everyone, but a decent chunk. I just vibe with Aquarius and Pisces people a lot.
Super chill.
Yeah.
Super chill.
And creative.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think creativity is so important. So I always, commend anybody on any level. You don't have to like create a profession out of creativity as well. Like
no.
I'm on like, this is my creative outlet. And then maybe my 2 a.m. shenanigans when I'm drunk and freestyling and whatnot. But being creative is so important because that's like, I feel like, we were talking about mental health and we were talking about how to like, what's your toolkit to suppress that and, kick out your emotions and whatnot. It could be anything from like drawing, painting, writing.
Anything.
Just do it.
Yeah. I find I'm really connected
smoke a little weed.
Yeah, smoke a little weed. But yeah, to that, like I find I like to, when I need to expel energy of some sort, creative energy, like it all comes from my hands. Yeah. So whether it's starting up the session with like rolling a joint and that ritualistic kind of behavior to playing the guitar to painting or anything, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's something about your hands, and then if you're not keeping them busy, you're probably smoking cigarettes, which is like totally bad.
Which is the worst.
Which is the fucking worst. But yeah, I think creativity is so important, and it's important to really have fun with it and remember to have fun with it. It's not supposed to feel like making the music. That part's not supposed to feel like a job.
Yeah.
The rest of it, there's a lot of work, and it's really tedious and really fucking boring and painful. Yeah. But you need to do it, and your artwork, whether it's for fun or whatever. It just needs to feel good.
You gotta enjoy it too.
So yeah, it's got to be it's got to be memorable. It's got to not in an eventful kind of way, just in the way that it makes you feel.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have control of the whole process too.
Yeah,
like what you mentioned when you started the podcast. But to all my creatives out there, definitely do your thing, keep killing it. Cindy, pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, man.
For everybody else, I will be, of course, sharing Cindy's information where you can follow her music, and all that good stuff. And yeah, let's kill it. Let's get it done.
Let's get it. 2021. Thank you.
Peace.
Cheers.